In general, this concept of loss is considered to be negative or bad, like the worst thing. You know, loss often involves sadness, regret, disappointment. It involves the absence or the removal of something that was previously very important, enjoyable, or some value to someone. However, it's important also to note that perception of loss as bad can depend. It can depend on the context and on your individual perspective. Some losses can lead to positive outcomes, or they allow you to grow, or they bring you into new opportunities. Cultural, personal beliefs can play a role in how you perceive and cope with that loss. We all go through loss, and I lose a lot. I've lost a lot in life, but through the losing, I've gained. It's always been a kind of trade off. So, like, how can we use this mentality in a practical way? Let's say we want to have a successful relationship with a friend or a relationship with a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, you name it. Well, there's inevitably going to be disagreement and, arguments at some point down the line if we're being realistic. Nobody can agree on absolutely everything. And so we have to deal with it, talk about that. So I think the way to not lose in an argument is to not try and win in the argument. The way to not lose an argument is to never try to win the argument. Because even if you were to win your points in the argument, you may stand to lose a lot more. Winning argument doesn't necessarily win you respect. It doesn't win you friends. It doesn't necessarily win you anything. It simply wins you your ego satisfaction in that moment. And let's face it, the ego is very fleeting. It's always going to need more, more, more for itself. So winning an argument may temporarily feel good, may give you something to brag about. But each time you do, each time you relive your winning the argument, you have to also understand that you've lost a lot in the process, most likely. Unless you don't care. If you're having an argument with a stranger or someone you don't really value in your life, then winning the argument may be very important. If you're doing like I do sometimes, some of these debates and formal debates and things like that, well, you're supposed to try and win. It's a chess game. You're supposed to present the best argument you can lodge, and your opponent does the same. And the person who really wins at the end of the day are the audience members who get to hear the best arguments for a given position. So it gives them the opportunity to hear the arguments for a position that they may not really get to hear a lot or discover on their own. So in that way, the winning would be just providing the best argument in and of itself. Because even in a formal debate, there really is no winning. You just, maybe not winning in the sense that people think, but you can win a debate. You can win something like that. But I think the highest way to win is when you present the best argument, because then it benefits more people, you know. But when it comes to personal matters and professional matters, maybe we should be seeking a solution. Instead of trying to win the argument, try to find out where is the knot and how can we disentangle that knot. Because as long as we keep arguing and being toxic and being, um, you know, lodging complaints, lodging accusations, all we're doing is pulling that knot on each side, and it's just getting tighter and tighter. And so, if we really want to value the relationship with the person we're arguing with, we should look at it. Look, there's an issue, there's a problem. Let's figure it out. Let's try to disentangle that knot. Because trying to simply win an argument isn't going to fix it in the long term or even the short term. It could just lead to a deeper, damage to your relationship. And oftentimes it does. And so the best thing in that situation is to look for solutions. But the trick is how to get into that state of mind to begin with. So we have to train ourselves to be approaching things in a more rational way like that. We have to understand, first of all, that winning arguments isn't really solving problems necessarily when it comes to personal relationships and things of that nature. A lot of that is fueled by emotions and feelings. And so tone of voice comes into play. People want to feel they want to be understood by you, and you want to be understood. Maybe if you don't even agree, at least try to understand and work to some solution. But oftentimes, people are so attached to their emotions and their feelings that they just want revenge or they just want to express their outrage. Not even to convince you into their side, but just to make you feel it. Sometimes people scream and insult one another just to wake them up to how they feel about themselves right now or how you've made them feel in their perception. And so that's what that is. When people are screaming and arguing, it's because they don't know how to communicate. They want to be understood, but they don't know how to communicate it in any better way. So they feel like the louder they talk or the more words they use, it's going to make their case better. But in fact, it doesn't. When it comes to communication, you know, sometimes the less you say, the more you convey. When you use less words, you can actually maybe make your point a lot better. Even in professional debates and professional speaking, it's oftentimes taught that being concise, using less words, shows more command of the language. It shows more understanding of the topic. And it also doesn't bore your audience. It doesn't bore the other person. It doesn't bloviate and redundantly repeat the same message over and over again when the person obviously gets it. So it turns out to be a waste of time. And it can be frustrating to hear the same message over and over just as an interlocutor. You already get the point and you're ready to provide insight to the point made, but your challenger just keeps repeating the same point over and over and over and over and over again. And you never get a chance to really solve the issue because the person is more interested in beating you over the head with a point that that person feels is the winning point. So they're trying to win the argument and they're trying to tire you down with that same point. Perhaps brainwash you somehow that you've lost the argument. Because look at this point I keep talking about over and over and over and over again. The message there could be the fact that I'm repeating it over and over implies that you haven't addressed that issue. And this is your losing point in the argument. But it's not. All that person is not winning you because in your mind you're thinking he's kind of being an idiot. He's bloviating. He's actually running from the conversation by over talking you and by bloviating over you. He's actually running from the point that you may possibly make. Subconsciously, that person feels like if I can just keep on talking, maybe they'll forget the cogent response that they're about to launch back on me because I don't want to hear that response. I'm not ready to deal with that response. I have nothing else. So I have to just keep bloviating the same point over and over and over and over and over again. It's frustrating, the conversation. The other thing too is to have limits, you know. If someone actually disrespects you, have a limit and express that limit. Look, I'm going to walk away from this conversation if you continue to bloviate and you continue to insult, humiliate, and talk over me. And you can't control other people's emotions and behaviors. You just can't. But you can set limits. And when they cross those limits, immediately disengage from the conversation. You have to train that person by your actions, not your speeches, not your proclamations, not your threats, and not your statements. You have to train them by your responses, by your reactions. Every time they do this, this is what this person does. This is what you do. So they learn very quickly that certain things just don't fly with you. You're not going to put up being talked to any kind of way or those sort of argumentative tactics like bloviation, talking over you, not giving you a chance to respond. Those things are very normal, and it's what projecting people do. It's what people do when they're angry and they're projecting on you, or they feel like they need to win the argument. This is what they do. People that feel like they need to win look at this as some kind of game rather than something that can be solved and actually dealt with effectively. What they don't know is by winning arguments, even if they could, you're not helping the situation. You're not solving anything. You're not gaining respect. You're not gaining more love. And it's ultimately not going to give you what you want. At the end of the day, we all want peace. We want peace of mind. That's what we all strive for. And we try all kinds of ways to get it. We try to get into nice relationships and we try to manage those relationships. But we don't have skills for managing relationships. We don't have skills for communicating effectively. We don't have skills for discipline in heated moments. We don't have those skill sets naturally. There's no book that we've probably read going into a relationship or a marriage. Now, there are books. We've got plenty. We've got trillions of books on the topic. But most people don't read them or really care. A lot of people just operate from the position of what's in it for me. How can I benefit? What they don't understand is they're not an island in this sense. That even if you could force your way, you're not going to make someone love you You're not going to make someone accept you, and it shouldn't care. It shouldn't matter. You should be who you are, and you should live fearlessly and courageously. You should stop trying to say the things that will win people over to you, whether that be positive or negative. You should always have the confidence in life to be yourself, because then you win. Then you haven't let other people make you a dishonest prick. You actually live according to your intention at any time. People like that can be trusted because when they say they're going to do X, Y, and Z, they usually follow through because they live according to their intention and they're honest. Now, it takes a great deal of maturity to get to this point, which is why I'm trying to make this video to help people to see it, to understand it. And it's an ongoing work. We all work on that if that's what we choose to do. If we want peace of mind and peace with other people and in our relationships, we're going to try to learn more things, apply more techniques and skills so that we become a better communicator and we have more wins in life than losses. To truly win, you have to first of all, look at yourself and perceive yourself as the sacred being that you are. You have to understand that what's really important is the quality of your experience in this life. Is your life trajectory on the course of more happiness or less? Are you doing the things in your everyday life that resonates with your soul, that resonates with your intention? Or are you doing things because you feel you have to out of fear, out of impressing people? Are you just trying to stay out of trouble each day? Or are you truly living in power and in confidence? Are you really in control of yourself? To some extent, to any extent. You know, you do have control of the way that you react. If you can just, you know, make it a practice to apply, you know, information that can benefit you. For example, don't try to win arguments. Don't try to be fake. Don't try to be too cool for school, man. Just be yourself. Live in your power. People will notice. People take notice of you when you do your own thing and march to your own drum pattern. People notice that and people respect that. Now, the downside of being yourself and being authentic in this world is that not everyone's going to like you. You're going to get rejected. That's just the fact of life. We may all have a commonality of, say, you know, um, like self-help. We like self-help videos. We like philosophical videos. We like positive videos. We like discussions about philosophy of mind and epistemology and logic and religion and things of that nature. We may all share that interest right now for those watching this video, for example. But it doesn't mean we're all going to like the same sports team or any sports team for that matter. It doesn't mean we're all going to like the same food, the same movies. It doesn't mean we're all going to agree on every aspect of religion, on theories of mind, on philosophy, and even the things that we all have interest in. We're not all going to agree. And so we get to choose who we associate with based on our criteria because we all live in power. We all hold accountability for ourselves. I'm not going to hang out with someone that does drugs all day, doesn't want to better themselves, um, it's stuck in all kinds of um, harmful behaviors towards himself and others. I'm not going to associate too much with that person at all, right? I'm going to resist that because I want to associate with people that are empowering me, that are helping me to reach my peace, not working against it, right? And that's not a form of hatred against my fellow human beings. It's more like a protection, protecting my spirit, protecting my energy, you know, protecting my mentality, in other words, my psychology, my psychological state has got to be protected because my mind is the only tool that I have. It's the most powerful tool that I have for doing anything in this world. So you have to protect yourself. But that starts with valuing yourself, setting limits, and having the courage to live authentically in this world. It's not easy. It's not easy. And don't get me wrong, there's a difference between living authentically and also, you know, acting the part when you need to. When we're at the job, we're supposed to be professional, follow the rules. If we agree to the rules of the job, you know, the policies and so forth, well, we should do that. If it overall it gives us a paycheck, overall it benefits us in life, there's nothing wrong with that concession. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a good thing and it's a skill to be able to relate to different people in different situations. You know, there's a skill with being able to be kind of a chameleon, especially if you're in the area of sales, customer service, doing business, being an entrepreneur. The skill set there is to be relatable, to be all things to all people. And that's a skill set, that's a strength, and that's going to help people to cooperate in society, and it's going to get you far in life. And there's a whole skill set to that too. But what I'm pretty much focusing on here is to always remember your authentic self. Always remember, be mindful of what you're doing out here. At the end of the day, it's all to support you, the real you. Never forget who you really are. And if you can live like that, you're going to win. You're going to win. If you can increase your skill set for communication and relating to other people, and at the same time, have a skill for being authentic, being yourself, and always remembering that, and having limits, drawing the line with people, you're going to attract nothing but more positive things into your life. And by using that mirror system of perception, you're going to just reinforce that confidence inside yourself. You're going to create that beautiful, peaceful reality you always wanted because you're never in anxiety anymore. You're living an authentic life. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Your conscience doesn't have to kill you. Just be who you are. And also, don't try to win people over. And don't try to win them over in arguments. Don't try to beat them into submission during some kind of discussion. You know, unless it's a mutual debate. That's different. You know, that's different. Punching people and going around punching people in the face probably won't work out too well for you. But if you're in a boxing match, that's exactly what you're supposed to do, right? That's the rule of the game. So play the game, play it well, be good at it, but just know your lane. Know what you're doing. You don't carry the boxing mentality into everyday world because you're going to end up going to jail or being killed by somebody who's in self defense. You don't want to behave that way. So the same thing is true in our personal relationships. You know, your girlfriend or boyfriend is not the customer on the other line of the phone at work. So you don't have to be that fake persona. You have to learn how to get out of character and become your honest, genuine self within your personal life. Even in your professional life, continue to be your authentic person. Definitely do that at work. But know when to manage it, know how to manage it, know when, sometimes playing the act, playing the role is important for your success. Own it, do it. But just know that you're doing that. Don't get it confused. Don't lose yourself in it. Don't be a great Hollywood actor and then lose yourself to your character and then you don't even know who you are anymore. Like Jim Carrey used to talk about. Who is the real Jim Carrey? And he finally realized he's really nobody. All these other things are just narratives and creations that he created to the point where he lost himself. He didn't know who himself was. Why? Because even himself was a construction, a narrative, and it's true. We all create based on our memories and the way we perceive our history. But we can recreate ourselves at any moment. We can become a new person at any moment. Just decide who is it that you want to be in this life. Look at yourself as the avatar. What character do you want to be? And then play that character within your situation and see yourself expand. See yourself grow. See yourself get more and more successful in life because you no longer have to feed off the approval of others. You don't have to feed off trying to fool others into who you're really not. Be yourself and be the best version of that self. Create your narrative, create it because you've already been creating it. You just haven't been creating it according to what, you really want. Maybe you're just creating it according to what other people expect of you. Maybe your confidence is so low that you're just putting on an act 24/7. You're always being the nice guy. You're always losing yourself in order to make other people feel better and more comfortable. Screw that. Be yourself. Let them deal with it. If they can't deal with it, they're probably narcissists and you want to be away from that person. They have a lot of growing to do themselves. So gravitate to what's for you, man. Be successful. Stop losing arguments by winning them. Stop losing people. Stop losing the things you value because you're being petty and you're being too overly emotional. There comes a time when you have to just let that expression go and get on to the solving of the issues. Be quick to apologize, as the Bible says, because then the argument doesn't have to string along forever with your loved one or your significant person. You don't want to keep that argument going and going and going and digging the wound deeper and deeper and deeper, do you? To learn how to apologize quickly, but know what you're apologizing for and be prepared to to do something about it. Don't just say you're sorry. Talk about what you're going to do to change if that's what you're apologizing for, your behavior. But don't apologize just to apologize. If you've got, if you reacted to something that hurt someone's feeling, talk it over. Let's untangle that knot. Let's get down to the knot and find a solution. And let's win together. Stop trying to win the argument and win the solution. That's the whole point. And with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. And I hope it was helpful. And again, like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to really build out, my community, and it's slow going, and I know why. It's because the sort of content that I have, not everybody's really aligned with right now. It's not a very popular, but I don't care. I'm going to be myself. I'm living genuine. My co-host is genuine. My audience is genuine. We love the topic, and it doesn't matter about the numbers really, but it would be helpful if more people could gravitate to something positive and learn how to discuss even hard things with each other as people. We have to be accountable. We have to be of the mindset of being a solution driven person rather than an argumentative person. And that's my message for today. And you guys have a great rest of your week. And we'll see you on Saturday, 12 o'clock. Again, like and subscribe to the channel, please. And until next time, peace out.